later on is interoperability. And interoperability cannot be solved 5 years later. It needs to be sorted out now. And when I say sorted out now, is the TCP/IP of the world or the SMTP of the world has to be incorporated in the existing technology, which is the Interledger protocol, which means that our network will be interoperable with others. And this could be a legacy network, this could be another brand new network, or it could be another blockchain network. So we don't have the same problem as what we have today, where networks don't speak to each other. You can't take a IMPS transaction or an ACH transaction in a country and make it a card transaction or a card transaction into a cash transaction. Right? These networks are not interoperable. They don't speak with each other, and they are essentially silos. But we envision the world where the whole world will not be on one blockchain, but there'll be pools of networks, but they will be connected with something like ILP, which is like the TCP/IP of the world. But it needs to be sorted today, or it needs to be built into the architecture today. It can't be done in 2025. It will operate, or it will be interoperable with the first generation system as well, right? So the idea is not to force everybody to change their tech today, but the idea is that whenever you're building the next wave or when you're doing that incremental improvement, make it ILP compliant so that when you need to connect to the world, you're able to connect to it much, much seamlessly, right? And that's the thought process, and that's the reason we work very closely with something like W3C Group, which essentially looks at the internet, and then see how something like ILP can be defined for money. And again, it's not for profit, it's available for the world to use. And then institutions can build their systems and their technology at their own pace, but incorporate the ILP as a protocol so that tomorrow when they're looking for interoperability, it's not a challenge at that time because it'll be unsolvable 5 to 10 years later. So in some way, what you would find is that initial growth will be slow because clearly as people are building use cases on the top of it, those use cases are taking off, but the impact in the long term will be very significant. And we are very clear about it. And that's also one thing I really like about Ripple. We're not just thinking about here and now, but we are thinking that 5 years later, what is the problem that is going to bite us? And let's solve for it today because it'll be unsolvable later on.
Right. We're making moves. We're making major moves. We're making moves. We're making major moves. We're going all in like we got nothing to lose. We're making moves. We're making major moves.
What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. I came to bring the fire. Again, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, share. I do have a Patreon. Check that out. I will link that in the description of this video here. As you heard from Naveen Gupta, formerly of Ripple, we are going to be talking about Interledger Protocol, TCP/IP, and the UCC Article 12 amendments, which had taken place in 2022. Myself and Smoke had begun or started this thread there, and I hope you guys appreciate this because we are taking you through some deep murky waters that not many people go through and don't have an understanding of what this all actually is. So here, I'd stated this morning, UCC Article 12, which creates a new tech. Actually, you know what? Let me go back to the original. Smoke. Progress of UCC Digital Asset Amendment in the United States. The process is underway in all 50 states and is almost at 100%. So there he provided us with a chart, a map, a heat map of where it is completed at, where it is not completed, and what else needs to get done. So I went on to state, UCC Article 12, which creates a new category of controllable electronic records for digital assets like cryptocurrencies, has been adopted by over 40 states and implementation begins July 1st, 2025. This is beautiful. Put these dates down in your calendar. This provides legal clarity for transactions involving digital assets like Bitcoin. Again, not all digital assets will be utilized for peer-to-peer transactions. They can be, but on this channel, I focus on infrastructure digital assets, which can be considered a type of smart contract. Here's my proof. Right, as introduced, this bill was a recommendation by the Virginia Commission. The National Conference of Commissioners on the Uniform State Law. This bill delayed effective July 1st, 2025. Let's check out this video here.
You know, again, the UCC only provides private law rules. These rules only apply to transactions between private parties. such as sales and secured transactions. UCC has no impact on some of our favorite three-lettered, four-lettered agencies, such as the SEC, CFTC, and FinCEN, which obviously are very popular here in the district. So, no bearing on federal at all. It's all about the state's perspective from a commercial perspective. So what we like to say in our group of folks is the states are the laboratories of democracy. And certainly you can see that happening right now, because with the UCC amendments, the 2022 amendments, it's happening state by state. It didn't happen all at once, and states are discovering why it's important, and it's very interesting to see how that works. So the UCC 2022 amendments cover a broad range of issues, but primary aim is to provide clear and efficient rules for transactions involving digital assets such as Bitcoins and NFTs. Amendments are needed because current UCC rules are highly problematic. So if I were to leave you with anything as we're talking about Article 12 and these amendments and why they're so important, there's going to be about 3 different bullet points I want you to remember. One is this phrase, controllable electronic records. That's the cornerstone of the whole Article 12 amendment. So an electronic record capable of being subject to control. If you're trying to perfect, you got to make sure you have control. Control equals the record, which gives the person power to avail substantially all the benefit, exclusive power to prevent others from doing so, and exclusive power to transfer the record, and the person can identify themselves as one of the control folks. So there's 2 other things here that I think we should highlight: innocent acquire status and the preferred method of perfection. That's at the core, the cornerstone of what UCC 12 is all about. You don't want to have a financial transaction with a digital asset and not be able to perfect it, right? So that's the thing that you want to remember, and you want to make sure there's nothing clouding it or encumbering it at the end of the day. You don't want to take a digital asset if it's got somebody else's third-party right to it. And that's basically all that's saying. As far as what we call the CER, that's the acronym for the Controllable Electronic Record for Bitcoin, electronic money for CBDCs, gives better rules to Bitcoin, preserves the decentralized nature of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Electronic money does not give any new or easier treatment to account-based CBDCs. Electronic money's only new rule for token-based CBDC, and no provisions for programmable money, just provisions to cover smart contracts. Note, every Bitcoin transaction is a smart contract. All right, rights of a qualifying purchaser. A purchaser requires all rights in the CER that the transferor had. A qualifying purchaser also takes free of any property claimed to the CER, and a qualifying purchaser is a purchaser who obtains control of a CER for value in good faith without notice of property claimed to the CER. The filing and financing statement of itself is not notice of a property claim to the CER. I'm going to show you now the adoption of UCC 12. And to date, we have 15. That's including the District of Columbia. We have another of others that are in progress. That's about 14 or 15. As I mentioned for the 3rd time, Virginia is the place for blockchain lovers, and we have passed I should say we have gotten it to the governor's desk. We're just waiting for him to sign our UCC bill. So we've got a number of other folks that are coming along, and it really is the most underrated piece of legislation, I think, right now going through our state legislatures. And we want to make sure that it's brought to bear, because we have to make sure that this stuff gets perfected.
So what does that mean? Controllable electronic record, right? Somebody in my YouTube had asked, does that mean that other people have control? No. What it means is that it's the record, or the instance, or the instance of you possessing that Bitcoin through your digital identity states that in your wallet, you Mr. Man possesses this Bitcoin, this CBDC, this stable coin. So if someone came into my wallet, hacked my stuff, withdrew it, I now have verifiable evidence and proof as the person controlling this wallet here that this was mine. Through my identity to this wallet, through the fact that they have records tracing back to when I had purchased that Bitcoin, and they can trace back to when this unknown entity came in and had taken my Bitcoin out of my wallet. Controllable electronic records. That's the funnel between the United States and in the EU. That's how UCC works. Let's us continue. So that's what control means. It's not a control mechanism as if somebody else has control of your stuff or somebody else is controlling these things. It's just control of those records. Let's continue down the line here. My man Smoke came back out again. UCC Article 4A, Fed Now. So we're talking about Fed Now, plus retail CBDC, how it all works together from a legal standpoint. Account-based retail CBDCs in the US covered by current legislation. Let's do this. Applying the regulatory framework, what it means for an account-based retail CBDC to be regulated similarly to the regulation of the wholesale digital fund transfer to primary sources of regulation govern such wholesale transfers in the US. They are regulated by Article 4A of the UCC. And the European Union, we are talking about Europe, they are regulated by the European Directive on Payments Service in EU internal markets. Transferring funds electronically from one customer's bank account to another customer should be the same in principle, whether the transfer is retail or wholesale. A retail customer would initiate a funds transfer by sending a payment order to their bank. The bank would then provide its customer's account as sufficient funds, electronically send a payment order through, for example, the FedWire or FedNow to the beneficiary's bank. And the beneficiary's bank would again, subject to receiving the funds, credit the beneficiary's account. So now there's control from this account to this account. The money was here with Smoke, then the money got transferred to Mr. Man. There's verifiable records between the two of them that Smoke is Smoke and Smoke initiated that transfer to Mr. Man. The immutable information is on Smoke's side of things. The immutable information of the value moves across that line now through the UCC to Mr. Man itself now. That record is now created on my side of things too, which is immutable. Right? That's how that works. I have control of that now. Therefore, apply to an account-based retail CBDC, much like it applies to a wholesale digital currency. So then this operates the exact same way or similar to the wholesale CBDC. To that end, Article 4A regulates risk of loss and counterfeiting. Risk of loss includes at least 3 risks: mistakenly transferring funds to the wrong person, which some people have done before, use an email for e-transfer. So we have fraud risk, including fraudulently transferring funds to the wrong person, and credit risk, sometimes called insolvency risks, include the risk of the receiving bank paying out before being paid. Article 4A covers all these risks. So I replied to this now. Interledger, Ripple's protocol is the backbone of the FedNow payment system, enabling seamless cross-border transactions. This partnership showcases the Fed's embrace of private blockchain tech to modernize payments. Interledger's features like multi-hop routing and atomic transactions power FedNow's fast, secure, and interoperable cross-border payments. A powerful integration driving the future of the U.S. payment infrastructure. The Interledger protocol is deeply embedded within the FedNow system. So here's an overview of how the FedNow system works. Just a quick low level of how the FedNow system works. Then here, FedNow and Ripple, what you need to know, this came out December 9th. Ripple is among the nearly 60 partners approved to integrate with FedNow, and you will not see this on the Fed's website as a bank connecting, because Ripple is not a bank. They are not a bank integrating with the Fed. Ripple is embedded in the Fed. That's the difference. There we go. And then my man Smoke came back with the fire here, with the heat. A clear breakdown to exactly how FedNow connects to the Interledger protocol and XRP. FedNow to the Fedline, so the TCP/IP based network messaging system for 10,000 banks. Interledger and XRP equals the front runners to TCP/IP equivalent in fintech, which is the ILP. Presentation on TCP/IP. Here we go, the presentation here. And I'll take you guys further in this presentation through Naveen Gupta, as I had showed you in the very beginning. I'm sending money to you. The money is deposited into the account from mine, and it's instantly available. Buckland said, the opposite is also true. If you charge someone for a service, the money is instantly debited from their account, and all that immutable record is created through the UCC codes in the US. FedNow will run the Fedline, an IP-based network and messaging system that currently provides payment and information service to more than 10,000 financial organizations. The following network access is required for Fedline advantages. So, transmission protocol, which is the TCP/IP communication protocol, utilizes port 80, World Wide Web, and port 443. Federal Reserve banks cannot provide any setup or configuration assistance to troubleshoot network access issues when using non-Federal Reserve banks designated or provided equipment. This includes firewall and routing configurations problems. Okay. We now all use one network protocol, TCP/IP. Only one is required. Using only one makes complete sense. Personally, I believe the same applies to digital assets, and I believe eventually only one will be used for payments, and personally, I suspect also as a store of wealth, though agree this may be many years into the future. Interledger and XRP are the front runners to be the TCP/IP equivalent in the world fintech. At this point, no one can compete with XRP's ledger technical spec or the performance of the consensus algorithm. This performance is set to improve the future with future updates.
In packetizing and transporting data across a network of computers, the Interledger protocol found a way to standardize, packetize, and transport money across different places where you store money. We call these ledgers, but if you think about ledgers, they used to be literally a book of accounts that stored value and recorded your transactions. Your bank had a ledger, your shopkeeper had a ledger. Everywhere where you had credit, we stored money, there was a ledger associated with it. And when those moved to the digital world with developers, you know how developers are, I'm one of them, I think probably there's 70 different ledger implementations, packetizing and
moving on now. This is the last one the last set of the threads here. So an analogy can be made between the development of TCP/IP, which enabled the open, decentralized internet, and goals of distributed ledger technology like Ripple. Just as TCP/IP created an open network without a central authority, Ripple aims to enable cross-border payments without relying on a single trusted third party. Naveen Gupta had told us that TCP/IP must be integrated into existing technology. Therefore, the value of XRP is denominated in XRP, not in USD, not in Canadian, not in yuan, not in the yen, it's denominated in XRP. For XRP denominated transactions, Ripple can make use of its Interledger. Its primary function is interbank transfer using a decentralized trust system on a permissioned ledger. Banks are key nodes trusted by users and hold funds and issue balances on behalf of customers. Users have to specify the other users they trust and to what amount. When a payment is made between two users, that's stuck there, that trust each other, the balance of the mutual credit line is adjusted, subject to limits set by each user. The user paying out to a customer in the country of designation is effectively lending value to the originator of the transaction, trusting to get it back. Now we're talking about TCP/IP here, right? Bitcoin proponents argue that XRP cryptocurrency has not gained transaction among businesses to justify its current valuation. XRP's role in Ripple's ecosystem is becoming increasingly important in determining the company's overall value. Based on this principle, XRP serves as an internet protocol equivalent to TCP/IP. Again, none of these are my words. I just read off the documents that I happen to find here, right? It's possible to use XRP to convert thinly traded currencies on international markets. What's a thinly traded currency? Something like the PSC, the Palau stablecoin. That's a pretty thinly traded or exotic currency. Didn't Ripple just come out with an XRP stablecoin? How coincidental. I guess we'll see where life leads at that point, won't we? Let's continue this journey and hear once again what Naveen Gupta has to say.
And later on is interoperability. And interoperability cannot be solved 5 years later. It needs to be sorted out now. And when I say sorted out now, is the TCP/IP of the world or the SMTP of the world has to be incorporated in the existing technology, which is the Interledger protocol, which means that our network will be interoperable with others. And this could be a legacy network, this could be another brand new network, or it could be another blockchain network. So we don't have the same problem as what we have today, where networks don't speak to each other. You can't take a IMPS transaction or an ACH transaction in a country and make it a card transaction or a card transaction into a cash transaction. Right? These networks are not interoperable. They don't speak with each other, and they are essentially silos. But we envision the world where the whole world will not be on one blockchain, but there'll be pools of networks, but they will be connected with something like ILP, which is like the TCP/IP of the world. But it needs to be sorted today, or it needs to be built into the architecture today. It can't be done in 2025. It will operate, or it will be interoperable with the first generation.
Just want to drop a short video for you guys here. I hope you appreciate it and found value in this. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.